Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. JustusRStone here with my review of volume number 1 of ReZero, Starting Life in Another World. It is a brand new light novel series by Tappei, Nagatsuki. This is the official English release from Yen On. Now, in this book, we join average teenage boy slacker Subaru as he finds himself transported to another world. It just kind of sort of happens. He was out getting himself some junk food at the convenience store and all of a sudden he's somewhere else. In the midst of all this, he gets attacked by a group of thugs and he gets himself saved by a beautiful silver-haired girl, pictured on the front of the book. She is actually searching for something that she has had stolen from her, and Subaru decides that as a way to repay her for saving him, he's going to join her and try to help her find this lost item. Unfortunately, their search leads to their deaths, which should be the end of the book, but no. As everything fades to black, all of a sudden, Subaru wakes up and finds himself standing in the same place that he had been only a good number of hours before. The rest of the book is all about Subaru trying to figure out just what is going on and what he should try to do. Now, immediately the setup that I'm thinking pretty much all of us will know is this is the whole get it right or you keep repeating kind of setup like we saw in the famous Bill Murray movie Groundhog Day. Or if you're into light novels such as I am, more recently we saw it in All You Need Is Kill, which was then turned into a Tom Cruise movie, which off the top of my head I cannot remember what the heck it was called. Only that I was kind of pissed because I thought, why the heck did you not call it All You Need Is Kill? Because that's a pretty awesome title. I think more people would have seen that movie if they had, left the title. Not to mention the book, go read the book. The book is awesome. It is quite different from the movie if you've seen the movie, so okay, that's my plug for All You Need Is Kill is done. Anyway, let's get back to the book at hand, ReZero. So it's using sort of a thing that we're all familiar with. This is sort of a standard kind of thing that we've seen a number of times before. I'm sure, I'm naming those two sources, but I know that there's been TV episodes and stuff like that of series that have used this same sort of mechanic to try and take a look at a what if or have you kind of situation. Now, in ReZero, the one way that it's used, and I haven't really thought of it this way before, but there are a lot of video game references in ReZero. A lot of video game references, which makes complete sense because, of course, Subaru is supposed to be sort of this otaku type kid. And so it's not that he really sees it. He doesn't compare it to Groundhog Day or All You Need Is Kill. How he sees it is this is like an autosave point. I never meant to save here, but for whatever reason, I keep forgetting to save anywhere else. And every time I die, I come back to my save point, which, like I said, in the context of this book makes a lot of sense because the funny part about this is that Subaru's not really that freaked out about the fact that he finds himself in this new world, which makes him a little bit interesting as a character. Because in a lot of these other books where people get transported to another world, there's obviously these moments of complete freaking out. Like, what's going on? They're disoriented, they're confused. Subaru's just kind of like, yeah, okay, this happened. I'm an otaku, and who doesn't dream about having this happen? So, awesome! And just continues on. And at first, it kind of took me by surprise. I was like, wow, he's like really, really accepting of this situation right off the bat. But I suppose it works with his character. I don't want to, again, I try to keep these videos as spoiler-free as I can, but it does work with his character and the character that were presented, and even sort of how he viewed the world, the normal world that he lived in. It's really not all that shocking that he wouldn't be put out if he found himself somewhere else. Now, I won't say that this first book uses that mechanic in a way that's incredibly original. I enjoyed this book. I'm not going to lie, I really liked it, and I am very excited to see how this goes moving forward. But in this first volume, I would say it's, well, not predictable. It's not like there's anything really, I'd say, unique added to this particular mechanic. I mean, it really is just that sort of, oh, well, I died again, let's try something new. Oh, I died again, let's try something new. So it's not, to me, a unique way of using this whole thing. What does make the book a little bit, whether you want to say unique or not, for a light novel that has a lot of very light-hearted moments, and particularly a protagonist that often will make things of striking what he considers to be heroic poses, or making all sorts of ironic sort of observations about what's happening around him. In a novel that has a lot of light-hearted sort of tones to it, man, it's pretty vicious. Like, when Subaru dies, there's no, like, it's not sugar-coated. You know, he dies, like, viciously. It kind of surprised me when I was reading it, because I was like, wow, okay, we're talking about a lot of blood. Oh, there's guts. Oh, there's, like, yeah, it surprised me a little bit with the whole violence level. Often I guess I've found in these kind of novels that the violence is a bit sterilized. The fantasy worlds, because of course the heroes don't typically die, and even if they do, it's certainly not described in any really gruesome sense. In this one, oh, it's gruesome. Like, there's no sugarcoating, there's no sweetening this thing up or just fade to black. Oh no, there's death and violence and blood and pain and suffering, and which I guess does add a little bit of depth and realism, if you will, to the book. I actually did, though, enjoy the fact, like, I'll compare it to All You Need Is Kill, because that is a light novel, and because I really loved that light novel. In All You Need Is Kill, because he's repeating sort of this same day again and again, you see a lot of the same events, but he just tries something a little bit different to tweak the event. And once he thinks he's mastered the event, he always does it the exact same way. The novel doesn't tend to be boring because the writer kind of skips through that stuff really quick, but you see where it's like this constant repetition. In this book, the one thing that I did kind of enjoy was that it was like Subaru just took this whole, let's do things completely different. I mean, there was enough in common with the day that you saw, as the reader, you knew that he was reliving this same period, but it was still so different. Like, each sort of step that he took and each decision that he made, it was very different. And I enjoyed how it showed that, or suggested the idea that some events, he refers to them, how did he refer to them specifically? I mean, it was a game reference, right? Again, it was like, a mandatory event or whatever, right? That some things would just always happen regardless, or that there were certain bosses that he would have to get through every single time. And like I said, especially if you're a gamer, I think that you'll enjoy this take on it, because it is being approached by a kid who reads a lot of manga and plays a lot of games. And so the language he's using to describe these things, and the language that he's using just to interpret and understand it himself, are just a common lexicon amongst all of us fans that made it a lot of fun. To me, one of the things that I will say made this book kind of stand out was that the secondary characters were really interesting. I mean, Subaru is, I think at this point, at least through this book, he's kind of a one-note character. This is who Subaru is. He's pretty much that same kid from the beginning of the book to the end of the book. But he's really there for commentary. He's there to be sort of the voice of us fans. It's the other characters that have these backstories, these motivations, that who they change in terms of personalities based on how Subaru approaches them on a different particular run through. It's the way that they change based on the way others behave towards them that maybe changes because of a situation that's been altered by Subaru's run throughs. The secondary characters are interesting, and they have these past in their lives that in some cases are mysterious and certainly help to drive forward the narrative, and I'm thinking will certainly lead into what happens in the future books. But they're fleshed out. I mean, when you have a series like this, it would be very easy for it to slide into that standard harem kind of situation where we added just a whole bunch of girls that had zero personality. They were just there to fulfill a specific archetype. So you're the tsundere girl, you're the shy girl, you're the vixen girl, you're the this. And I can't really say that I could pinpoint that as much with the female characters in this book. Even though they may have elements of those archetypes, they have enough personality and enough backstory to back up that personality that makes them feel like they're more fleshed out characters, and made me really happy as they all sort of reappeared as we moved through each run through of this particular situation. I think too, the other thing I appreciate is that aside from this whole death and then rebirth cycle that Subaru has, the kid has no powers. This isn't like, say, Sword Art, where we have Kirito who's super powered, or even Log Horizon, where, you know, the people are summoned in their adventurer mode, so they're capable of magic and all this kind of stuff. Or, you know, even the Rising of the Shield Hero, where he's gifted with this shield that he can develop all these different skills and everything else. This one, I mean, this kid is basically worthless other than the fact that when he dies, he gets another chance to sort of figure out where he went wrong. And I know from a lot of you that have watched the anime, it sounds like this mechanic gets used to much more devastating and dark effects in later volumes. This one, I think, was really just an introduction to this thing. And for the most part, I think it wasn't as heavy-handed or dark as what I have heard a lot of you seem to be saying that the anime gets to. So ReZero has a lot of fun elements. If you're a fan of manga and video games, you'll probably love Subaru's commentary because, like I said, a lot of it just really speaks to that fan base. There's a lot of really great secondary characters that I would say are probably even more the reason that I want to read future volumes, even than the sort of story tidbits that have been thrown out that didn't get answered in this volume. I actually just want to see who these characters really are and to spend more time with them. So overall, ReZero, really enjoyed it. Not quite as original as I kind of hoped, but again, I think that's just because this is the very first volume, and from what a lot of you are saying, it's the future volumes that are going to take this series to a whole different place. In fact, some of you have made it almost sound like, I think one of the comments was, when reading ReZero in later volumes, wait a minute, I didn't sign up for this. And I'm actually really, really looking forward to that. So lots of promise in this first volume, lots to enjoy in this first volume, and certainly from what the anime fans are saying, there are a ton of things to look forward to in the future of this series. So those are my thoughts on volume number 1 of ReZero. Next one's going to be on volume number 3 of Black Bullet. I had said I was going to read this one if ReZero didn't arrive in the mail, but hey, awesome, it did. So I'll go back to my original schedule and I'll start reading Black Bullet number 3. That'll be my next review. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to click on subscribe so you can check out all of my future light novel reviews, as well as click on the link above for my previous light novel reviews to check out all my older ones. You can also click on the link for my manga reviews, and I don't just read books, I like to write them too, so I've got those links up above as well. Thanks very much for watching this video. I look forward to seeing you in my future ones. Until then, bye-bye for now.